Growing Up with Toxic Family, Part 21, Part 22. Now we ended Part 21 with my sister being faced with her karma behind all the things that she had done to me and all the things she had done to our family. What was her karma? Her karma, as we talked about, was her. Once she spent all the money, she got a job and was able to work a few years. When karma kicked in, she got sick and couldn't work no more. Financially, karma. Ain't no more living no good life. That's over with. She took the last of the money and bought this house. And a tornado hit it. Now, for anybody growing up in Detroit, I grew up in Detroit 70s and 80s. We've never seen a tornado actually touch down in the city and hit somebody's house. But it did hers. First time ever I heard about it. Ripped her chimney off. Somebody was trying to tell us something. You ain't getting away. Let me show you. And now, ever since then, her biggest karma has been her sickness. It has been nonstop, off and on, for well over 20 years. It's been so many different illnesses that she suffered from. I can't even remember all of them. Just a few things that she's told me about. As I said before, bronchitis, chronic sinus problems. We seen her sinuses so bad that she coughed constantly for days and nothing helps her. Thyroid problems, shoulder problems, knee problems. She's told me she borderline diabetic. She's told me she got high blood pressure. She's told me she got thyroid problems. Constipation all the time. Sleep apnea. Can't sleep for days. All of this is consistently going on. Off and on. And then when you add in the 17 surgeries, just that I know about. One of her surgeries, they left a surgical instrument inside her body. And they had to go back in and get it after she had been home in intense pain. Another time, she almost bled to death. She needed to have a hysterectomy, which she ended up having to stop this. Now you think about this, but it didn't just stop at physical health. Her mental health as well. Because Because she have told people she got ADHD. She's also stated she suffers from schizophrenia. She said her doctor told her that. Well, what is schizophrenia? Schizophrenia, when you look it up, you can look it up on your phone. Schizophrenia is when a person suffers from seeing things, hearing things, and smelling things that's not there. You think about that. How many times has she listened to somebody tell her something? And then when she go and repeat the story has been turned all the way around. It done turned into a whole complete lie. Well, why is that? Because she hearing something that she ain't hearing. So when she told the lie on me, that I said, I went out here, I had bought these houses all myself. But I never said it. Even the person I was talking to about the situation, they said, when they told her the story, they didn't tell her that. They told her what I told them about something we done. And when she went to repeat the story, it was about how I was lying. But that ain't what was told to her. Because she heard something that she didn't hear. She see things, people doing things that they ain't even done. Many stories about people doing things that they ain't guilty of. But she say she seen them do it. Because in reality, she ain't seen nothing. On many occasions, I've heard her tell stories about how people smell. Her story is how they was around her and she smelled everything. Now, I heard this on several different occasions from different people. Now, my thing is, how do you smell everything on somebody? You know, what do? Do a little sniff? Oh, that's underarms. You sniff them again? Oh, that's behind. You sniff them again? Oh, that's vagina. You sniff again? Oh, I smell their feet. Is that how it works? Because if somebody don't smell right, I ain't trying to keep sniffing. The problem is she's smelling something she don't even smell. But she got a story to tell about somebody and how they smell. She smelled everything on them. But it's all in her head. Just like everything else she talk about. See, when you look at this, man, this is a hell of a thing. But this is her karma for what she done. The problem is she ain't stopped. No matter how sick she get, how bad she be doing, she come up out of it and get right on back to doing what she always done. Talking about people, making up stories about people, bad-mouthing people, backstabbing people. See, the initial karma that hit her. When she regrouped, she started getting a check every month and started making it work for her. Okay? She's up and around and she's back to normal. Now, one day I'm in prison. God No comes in. He just got his time. He about to start serving. Now, after a while, me and him talked. He said he wanted his girlfriend to come see him. And he didn't want her to drive all them hours by herself. So he asked me, did I know somebody who can come see me and ride with her? And I did. A friend of mine from Detroit, her name was Donna. So they planning on coming, they worked everything out. And because I'm talking to my sister, I tell her about them coming. So she say, oh, I want to go, I want to come. And I'm trying to explain to her she ain't got to be trying to come down here because I know what she done been through. But she was doing good and she insisted on coming. Okay, no problem. So on the way down there, she slides up on Donna. She said, yeah, if I was you, I wouldn't be going down there to see him. I wouldn't have nothing to do with him. Don't you know he got married on you and had a baby before he went to prison? Ain't no way I had nothing to do with him. Now you think about this. This is my family who done all of this, all them years. And they dealing with the karma already of what they done. But they can't resist to backstab me like this in prison. Now here's the thing. For anybody who been to prison, know somebody been to prison, you know how it is. Somebody coming to see you and they hear about you done got married and had a baby and they don't know about it. This is news to them. How you think they gonna act when they get there and they ain't seen you in years? How they gonna act? Well, one way is she could have came in that visiting room and showed out. Caused a scene, maybe wanted to fight, smack me upside the head, anything. Because this is news to her that she didn't know. And she didn't have to know. But because my sister being who she is, she got to say something. Not even thinking about what the outcome could be. Now, let me tell you how she knew what she done. And she knew what the outcome could have been. Because when I go in the visiting room, Donna is there, but my sister ain't there. She don't come in there 20, 30 minutes later. Now what that tell you? She knew all hell could have been breaking loose in that visiting room because of what she said. So she stayed back and she gonna come in after the smoke cleared. You know, the thing about this is, has something happened in that visiting room? Me and her got into it, argument, her showing out. They was gonna terminate the visit. I was going to the hole. More likely, depending on how bad the situation got, the visits would have been terminated. I probably would have had to do time in the hole, 15, 30 days, 60 days. All because of her backstabbing me. But luckily, see, she didn't know the relationship me and this woman had. We had been friends since we was little kids. She knew everything about me. So what my sister was trying to do, it didn't even work because she already knew. But you think about this. For her to do this after everything she done already. Now see, you would think that's more than enough to do. But it didn't end there. Because see, let me tell you something. Something else happened on that visit. See, the woman who they rode with, she lost her bracelet. Turns out to be a $10,000 bracelet. It was never found. They looked high and low for hours. It was never found. Now, if you lose a $10,000 bracelet in your car and you with some people that you don't know, you don't find your bracelet, what you gonna think? One of them gotta have your bracelet. But that's what the girl thought. And that's what she told her boyfriend, who I was in prison with. So he looking at me, thinking that one of them got the bracelet, since they didn't find it. And my thoughts on it is, because I'm not thinking about what my sister done all these years. I'm not thinking about how she stole my money. I'm not thinking about none of it. And also, what she just done on their way down there, telling this girl this story about me that could have caused chaos. The girl never told me this. You see, she didn't say nothing about what my sister said. I didn't find this out until about 2 years ago. It's been over 20 years that she done this. So I'm defending her as well. Now, here's the thing. Not long after this, I'm talking to my sister on the phone. She telling me, yeah, I got this money from work, my job. Because initially, she had told me she had got hurt or sick at the job, okay? So to hear that she got some money from it, excuse me, I didn't think nothing of it at that time. But when I started looking back at all this, it's a whole nother story now. Now, she got this money from work. She tells me she went to the auction. She bought 2 cars. She bought a van and she bought a 1962-63 Cadillac. Now, the van off the rip, it needed a transmission. It's sitting in the driveway for years, rotting away. The Cadillac, she was able to drive it for a little while. She had went to the Dream Cruise and telling me about what she done. But then it ends up in the driveway, rotting away for years. Now, let's ask this question. How do not one car, but both cars end up rotting away in the driveway for years that you just bought? Think about that. Could this be, once again, the karma of where the money came from? See, when you start to analyze this situation and how she lived a life for years with money. From 1983 when my mother died and she got control of my money all the way up into the 90s when they spent all the money. She get a job, work a few years, now she can't work no more. Ain't no money to go grab from the bank no more because it's gone. No job because she can't work no more. Husband leaves her. Now she in the worst financial situation she's been in well over 10 years. You in the car with somebody and the bracelet falls. Nobody see you pick it up. It's an opportunity for you to do what you always done. You see, because you stole my money, so you're a known thief. That's what you do. So now you pick up this bracelet, don't nobody see you pick it up. Ain't nobody expecting you. At least I didn't. And see now, here's the thing about this. When you look at the situation, a $10,000 bracelet, if you need to get rid of it to get this money, you need to know somebody who got $10,000 to spend on a bracelet. But she didn't know nobody. So 9 times out of 10, what she have to do? Take it to the pawn shop. And see, when you start analyzing the money she told me that she got from work, it's about the same amount that a pawn shop would pay for a $10,000 bracelet at that time. This is a hell of a thing, man, when you start analyzing this. You see, because here's the thing about her. For many years now, she's pointed fingers and told stories about so many people being thieves, stealing from her. Story after story. Even accusing her own child on more than one occasion of stealing from her. The problem is when you start analyzing all her stories, none of them add up. See, let me show you something. She got a story about my brother Greg. She says that she was having Greg do work on the house. She said that she would go pick Greg up and Greg would come to her house to do the work. He had a backpack with him that was empty. She said every day he would leave. That same backpack that was empty when he came is now full. And she said that this went on for days. Basically saying he came with an empty backpack every day. But he stole a backpack full of stuff from her house and went home with it in the car with her every day. Here's the problem. Any normal-minded person, you got family coming to your house and you seeing them. Empty backpack when they come is full when they leave. The first time you see this, what you gonna do? You gonna confront them about what's in the backpack. The only story you gonna be telling is that you took your stuff back and stopped dealing with them, or you went upside their head, took your stuff and stopped dealing with them. But see, with her, ain't none of that happened. With her, it's just a story of how he did this day after day. And she tell this story for years. It don't add up. Because if you see somebody that you think stealing from you, the first thing you do is stop dealing with them. But she kept on. But this is what she do. See, when you analyze all the stories about people stealing, it don't add up. None of it. She told me the story about her daughter. She told me that her daughter, her youngest daughter, left the house. And when she left, she stole a debit card. She went on to tell me how when her banking statement came, on the banking statement, it said that the card had been used by her daughter's house at the grocery store that was across the street. But here's the thing about that. It sounds good because I was in Ohio. I didn't know what was what. All I had was her story. Now, days after this, she calls me and tells me she at Toy House dropping off a load of food. Now, Toy is her youngest daughter. But wait a minute. If she just stole your debit card days before this and used it at the grocery store to buy food, why is you over here days later dropping off a load of food to her? That don't make sense to me. That ain't adding up. But then, years after this, I'm in Detroit. I'm at a house one day. I'm sitting at the kitchen table waiting on her to come in from work. Her daughter, Toy, had been there staying a few days, maybe a few weeks, I don't know. But she had grabbed her children and she left before mama came home. Now, when my sister walked in the door, she walked straight in, straight to the kitchen where I'm sitting and say, Toy stole food out my freezer. Now, here's the problem. She ain't been home all day, okay? And if you ain't been home all day, the girl left while you was gone, how you know she stole something? You didn't go to the refrigerator when you came in and look in there. You didn't go in the basement in the deep freezer and check the deep freezer. You didn't go in the garage and check the refrigerator out there. If you ain't checked nothing, how you know she stole something? It's just another story about her own daughter. And it don't add up. See, it's so many stories, man. The reason we talking about this is because she sit up and told people I stole from her. Now let me tell you something. For me to be a thief, see, if I was gonna be a petty thief, I would have been stealing when I was that 15-year-old child, when she was getting my check and I was in that house with no food. If I was gonna be a thief, that was the time. See, that time passed a long time ago. Being a thief was never thought in my mind. Everything I went through, I figured a way out of it. But here it is today, you calling me a thief. See, you know, I live my life on that thing about if you throw a rock into the pack of dogs, the one that holler is the one that you hit. So I never cared about nothing people said about me. But see, the problem here is that I've been looking over and letting go of many of these stories for many years. And this story was being told so much that I went to some people's house one day. And when I left, was telling people they didn't want me back at their house. Why is that? Because they had heard the damn story from my own sister. I'm stealing from her. That's a hell of a thing. When she the one stole my damn money. Left me for dead. But I'm the thief. You know, it just never ends, man. It never ends. But see, here's the problem, man. When I started analyzing all the stories she done told people about all these different people stealing from her, none of them added up. Not none of them. She had a man living in her house. She called him Mr. Stanley. She said he was her roomer. Now, excuse me. She first told me the story about Mr. Stanley stealing out her house way back in 2013 sometime. But here's the problem. She's saying he's stealing out her house, but he still was living there. I come to Detroit in 2016, 3 years later. Not only is the man still living in her house, but she's sleeping in bed with him every night. Well, damn. How you sleeping in the bed with somebody that you claim is stealing out your house for years? The problem is she was still saying it. And she's saying it so much and telling so many people around her was saying the same thing. That man a thief, he's stealing. But they ain't paying attention. How somebody stealing and they still in your house for years and you sleeping in the bed with them? That don't add up to me. But then her baby daddy said that some guns she had came up missing. And ain't nobody stole them but this man, Mr. Stanley. Here's the problem I got with this though. Because once again, they listening to her story, but they not paying attention. You see, because her baby daddy had told me before this that Mr. Stanley is a fool because he works, pays my sister rent, but then he do plumbing jobs on the side and he gives her half of every plumbing job he do. Wait a minute. You telling me he live in a house, pay rent, he do plumbing jobs on the side and give her half of everything he make and he a thief? No, that don't even sound right. But then when I looked at it further, he was paying her cell phone bill every month for years. But then every time you look around, she was breaking cell phones. And guess who was buying new ones? Mr. Stanley. But then I seen him one day, he said he was headed to go pay the electric bill. Whoa. Then they got cable. They didn't have cable TV. He had cable installed and was paying the cable bill every month. Now wait a minute. You telling me you got this man work every day, do plumbing jobs on the side, giving her all this money, doing all this for her, paying bills and all this, but then he gonna go steal something. It don't add up. And see, it didn't even stop there with her. Years after this, she called me one day and said, yeah, I had some money stashed away in my dining room. Mr. Stanley stole it. And I confronted him about it. And he said he had took it and he was going to just put it back. Here's the thing about that. The man lived in your house all these years. You never confronted him about stealing nothing. You want me to believe now that he done took $30, $40 you had stashed somewhere that you confronted him this time? It don't add up. See, because one of the things she was also saying, he was stealing stuff out of the basement, her tools and stuff. Here's the problem. When I went in the basement, after he supposed to been stealing for years, all this crap she got down there, it's still there. If he's stealing for years, if he stole one thing a month, wouldn't be nothing left. It's just a story that don't add up. It's so many more. So many of them. But here's the problem with this. When you analyze her stories and you're looking at the time frames when people stole from her, do you know it is not one story of somebody stole from her from the time she was stealing my money all the way until the money was gone. Not one story in that time frame. Now how's it that when you was living your best life, had all this money, not one person stole from you? But here it is, when you're broke with nothing, you got all these stories of people stealing from you. It don't add up. See, she got stories of people stealing that don't add up. But we got stories of her stealing and it all adds up. All signs point to it. The only thief here is her. Growing Up with Toxic Family, Part 23, stay tuned.